And for analysis, we're joined now by retired Vice Admiral Kevin Donegan. He commanded the U.S. Fifth Fleet, which is based in Bahrain. He's now a distinguished military fellow at the Middle East Institute. Thank you for joining us. I want to start with your reaction to President Trump posting on social media this evening what he called a complete and total ceasefire between Israel and Iran.
Yeah, so for those of us that around the world that look hard at the Middle East, there's one certainty, and that's that we're going to be surprised. You know, we were surprised at the way that Israel started this and when they started it. We were surprised at the way that the U.S. entered this, and now we're surprised again here because this is just a few hours after this retaliatory strike on Al Udeid. We now have this announced ceasefire, and I think it's a good thing. Anytime you can get a conflict to pause and have a ceasefire, it presents an opportunity. So now the question, as Nick was clearly laying out, is can we take advantage of that opportunity? I want to add one more piece. It's a different Iran now than it was before this started. Its IRGC is weakened. Its nuclear capability is degraded to the extent that it'll be determined in time. And as a result, the regime is somewhat weakened from where it was before. So when you add that to the fact that Syria is now no longer an ally of them, that Hezbollah has been decimated, that Hamas has been destroyed, and the Houthis are weakened, you can see that the opportunity for maybe a potential change in the Iranian stance is out there, but time's going to tell.
Well, on that point, I mean, who is calling the shots in Tehran right now, given the fact that their senior military leadership was decimated? I mean, what does all of this say about their command, control, capacity?
Well, first, I think we know who's calling the shots, and it's the supreme leader, of course. He's setting the tone for how they're going to act, and the replacements will come in with his tone and tenor, right? But there are coming in, and the reason that they're weakened is because it's hard for them to know who to talk to, how to talk to, because they don't know who's listening, and what the Israelis were going to do. But so their main action arm is weakened, and that is, therefore that overall weakens their military, and overall weakens the regime to some extent, which like I said, perhaps this is an opportunity. So who's calling the shots is the supreme leader.
And what was the message that Iran intended to send with its retaliatory strike?
I think the message they sent was the one that we all read into it right away. They didn't attack uh, to the level that they could have. They could have gone wider with the bases they have attacked. They could have attacked bases like the Fifth Fleet headquarters and other places that are around population centers, but instead they chose to attack Al Udeid, which is relatively isolated. There's no other population out there, and they didn't. And that barrage was able to be defeated. In other words, they set up a symbolic attack against the U.S. that they knew would be blunted and repelled, and that I think was to affirm to President Trump and the Israelis, especially though President Trump, that they are ready to negotiate. Now we're going to see, because it's very complex in terms of we don't know where they stand on that red line related to enrichment.
When the Vice President, J.D. Vance, said today in an interview that Iran's stockpile is buried, what does that mean in a real sense? I mean, what's your assessment of just how degraded, destroyed, and set back Iran's nuclear program is?
Well, first we know that the attack on Fordow was successful. We even heard the UN make that assessment, and you have to give tremendous credit to those that were all involved in that operation to get into Fordow, because that was one of the things that the Israelis had on their list as a must-do. They believed this operation wouldn't be successful, and they were vocal about it unless they were able to get at Fordow, and they did. What hasn't been covered in great detail, and we'll maybe learn in the coming days, is how much of the rest of the nuclear targets that the Israelis had on their list did they get degraded to the amount that they wanted to. I would suspect that they serviced them to the level that they wanted to, or they wouldn't be offering up or agreeing to stopping at this point. So, but time will tell on that. As for the vice president's remarks, I think they stand for themselves.
Well, the president having announced this total ceasefire, we will see if this ceasefire is lasting. But what's the path back at this point to the negotiating table?
Well, so now the good news is that we have a path for how to negotiate with Iran. For years we didn't have that path, and we've already now had negotiations that were direct between the United States and Iran, and that's what we all want to look for. Is just before the United States got involved in this attack, there was a planned meeting again between both sides in Oman, and that got canceled. It was on Sunday, and so my expectation is that'll get right back on the table very quickly, and then we'll find out pretty quickly where both sides stands in terms of the major issues we just talked about.
You have been involved throughout your career in a lot of planning for war with Iran. Did any of those scenarios for which you prepared have these many turns, these kinds of turns?
Uh, the one thing I've learned in 38 years of dealing with military operations is every plan you make fails at first contact with the enemy and first contact of putting it into execution. So the value that you put into your plan is in getting everyone to be aligned into what they need to achieve. So as things change, they can adjust. And actually, you saw some of that with the Israelis as opportunity presented itself to get at other targets. They took those opportunities, and it wasn't a sure thing that the U.S. would get involved to finish off Fordow. So I'm sure the Israelis had other options to do that. We saw some of them come to fruition today, where they denied access to Fordow after the attack. So to me, the classic military operation is that the plan isn't going to be the one that ends up being executed, but the plan is what aligns everyone and enables them the flexibility to adjust as things change in the operation.
Retired Vice Admiral Kevin Donegan, now with the Middle East Institute. Thanks for your time this evening, sir. We deeply appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeff.